Welcome to Lunatic Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Lori Lothian, and today we're talking about Venus retrograde, all signs. I'm going to give you a quick delineation of what I think this Venus retrograde promises for the collective, and then you can go to the timestamps below and check out the all signs for your sign and where this is going to influence your life over the next few weeks and in a way over the next few months. So what I'd like to offer as well is that I'm doing a Venus retrograde Facebook group for free where you can journey with me through these 40 days of transformation starting May 13th through June the 25th. And if you're interested in jumping on a magical carpet ride of Venus retrograde with me and a bunch of others, we have about 200 people in the group right now. Come on in. The link is below, and it is for free and it is for fun. So check it out. And I have a sale right now. Check it out below. Year ahead reading, $90 off. I'm doing this for the COVID special because I think people need it. And it's in play until the end of May. So I extended the sale from the month of April. All right, let's get going. So Venus is retrograding in Gemini, everybody. We know that. This happens to be a place, of course, in everybody's chart that's going to have a different meaning. But in general, Gemini is a sign of the intellect, the mind. It is about communication, researching things, messaging. It rules the lungs, which can be an interesting place for her to go right now, given that the lungs are primarily one of the areas that are afflicted by the current COVID-19 pandemic. So she's a benefic planet in Gemini and offering perhaps something of positive value around our lungs in regards to traveling through the sign of Gemini for April, May, June, and July. The retrograde period itself, however, is a place where we can reset money and reset love in our lives in a certain area of our chart, depending again where it falls. So stay tuned for that. All signs to follow. This retrograde is an interesting one because it is only 9 degrees, 8 degrees off of the 29-degree transiting north node. And it is also conjunct an asteroid called Vesta. So on one side of Venus, as she's preparing to go retrograde, is Vesta at the very beginning. And on the other side is the north node. And that's the beginning of the retrograde period. And that's kind of the set button. And it's a marker of the hallmark of this journey of 40 days in which she goes backward. And, you know, Venus is the planet of love and beauty and art and money and relating and relationships and sensuality and pleasure. When she goes backwards, a lot of those areas of our life are in reset mode. An old love may come back from another time in our life. We may reset a love story that was broken or off duty. Sometimes karmically, it's an old love and a past life love that returns. Money that we'd lost or forgotten or thought we'd never see again can show back up in our lives, and new ways for money to show up can occur when Venus retrogrades, and she can give us new ideas from the recesses of the past about where money, pleasure, joy, love, etc. may reemerge in our lives. Now that Vesta asteroid is the Vestal Virgin, and this retrograde conjunction, in other words, let me just look at my chart because I'm looking at a chart in the back end of you guys. 20 degrees, Vesta is at 20 and Venus is at 21 during the retrograde startup button. And to me, this is kind of an indication that the archetype of Vesta is tending a sacred flame. What in your life do you need to tend that Venus wants you to attend to? So the Vestal Virgins in ancient Rome dedicated 30 years of their life to tending a flame in a temple that kept the city of Rome prosperous and safe. Is there something in your own life that you feel like you need to tend to, like a sacred flame? Because where Venus is now, she will bring your attention to that wherever she appears in your chart, whichever the 12 pie slices of the zodiac that she's sitting in the sign of Gemini, which we will discuss for your sign, sun, rising, and ascendant. And there's a reward for tending that sacred flame, something that really matters to you, that's precious. And that is that the Vestal Virgins were rewarded at the end of their tenure, 30-year tenure, with rights and great privilege that typically women in Rome didn't get. I mean, the rights to wander without a male escort through the streets, the rights to hold land and own property. So there is a reward for tending some sacred flame, as well, of course, as a sacrifice involved. The Vestal Virgins didn't marry and they didn't have children. So where in your life are you willing to do a sacrificial tending of a sacred flame of something that matters to you, that's precious, that will reward you later on? The North Node is conjunct the beginning of this retrograde period. And to me, that's both a blessing and a curse. The North Node, Rahu, the North of the Moon, the Node of Fate, can pull us in a direction that sometimes we are grasping and grabbing for, like almost clutching at, you know. And the North Node amplifies anything it touches. So amplifies Venus, amplifies pleasure, play, sensuality, luxury items, the desire, keyword for Venus here, desire for money, desire for love, you know. And yet the North Node pulls in the other direction from the opposite way, saying sort of rest easy, go with the flow, go where your natural inclinations are, go with your inner strength that's based in the North Node in the K2 position of the chart. So Venus is opposite that, a place of relaxation. So I think though that since she's a benefic and the North Node is, you know, inflaming her or blowing her up and making her bigger, it's still a really good thing. So just be cautious of that overexertion of your will and desire for something Venusian. Don't grasp and cling, but let the expansion that's possible in that area of your life take place with the sort of expansion of Venus's goodness that can happen with the North Node only 8 degrees off of Venus at the start of this particular retrograde cycle. She's at 21 degrees of Gemini. If you have any planets at 21 degrees of Gemini, give or take about, you know, 5 degrees on either side, this is going to be quite a significant period for you in this journey retrograde. If you take my Facebook group and you want to jump in with me, we'll talk about that for those of us in the group who have planets in the sign of Gemini in general, but certainly at this initiation point, close to 21 degrees of Gemini, or conversely on the angles, 21 degrees of the angular parts of the chart, Sagittarius, 21 degrees of Pisces and 21 degrees of Virgo. Anything on those areas, 21 degrees or so, are also going to be stimulated in your chart. Okay, but let's go to the all signs. So I'm excited about this Venus retrograde. For me, it's in my house of love, romance, creativity, children. I haven't had it there for a long time. Really looking forward to this, I'm telling you guys. Okay, so to begin. Aries, this is a Venus going retrograde in your natal 3rd house. And so this is a house of your short-term trips and travel, your siblings. It can be your local neighborhood, buddies and friends. And it's also teaching, speaking, writing, communicating. It's also selling things, commerce, and it's the intellect part of the chart. So that's a lot. If I would say for a general principle, Venus on Vesta, tending a sacred flame here and expanding it with that North Node, is that if you are at all writing, speaking, teaching, or educating people in any way, or you have your own business of some sort, you're an entrepreneur, you have your own online enterprise or any sort of business, this is going to be a very auspicious retrograde. You may go back and look at new methods, new ways of doing things. You may have contacts that come from a short trip or travel. Even yes, with a virus, we can get on get in the car and drive somewhere, right? And you can certainly get on a plane. So this is an auspicious time for any travel that may excavate something for you that is to do with those areas of your chart. Yeah, so success could happen there as well. So pay attention to how you write, teach, speak, educate, communicate, divinate. It's a house of oracleship, the house of the goddess. So pay attention to goodness in that part of your chart. Moving on. Taurus, this is in your natal 2nd house. This is the house of earned income, self-worth, self-possession, the house of your throat, things that you eat, things that you speak. I'll tell you one thing. There's a lot of sensuality with Venus. And when she's in that part of your chart, which she is for April, May, June, and July, you're going to be really compelled, Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Ascendants, to want to put a lot of yummy, delicious, sensual pleasures into your mouth. So be careful, because with the North Node there, you may overdo it. You may be a glutton for pleasure, sensual food pleasures, or drinking pleasures that may not serve you. On the upside, though, you Taurus, Sun, Moon, and Ascendants in the 2nd house activation, what sacred flame are you wanting to tend that could bring you earnings, money, self-worth, and self-possession that can increase your resources? And with Venus going retrograde, is there something in the past that you've already had a sacred flame or like inclination for? Like, oh, I'd really love to tend the sacred flame of that idea. You can make some money, an idea, or create some way of making money right now from something Venusian, sexuality, pleasure, art, beauty, love. Any ideas? I'm going to leave that with you, Tauruses, to ponder for now. Gemini, this is going to happen in your first house at Venus stations to go retrograde, conjunct that Vestal Virgin. And I'm going to say that this is a big identity shift for you, Geminis. Okay. Are you wanting to sensualize and see yourself as more sexual, more sexy? Do you want to put your lipstick on every day right now? I want you to look at yourself as being that Venus going retrograde, tending a sacred flame in the house of your identity and your physical form, your avatar, your body. Because I'm doing Venus retrograde, I thought to put something on a little sensual, my off the shoulder look, right? I've got my jewels on. So wearing your jewelry, putting on your lipstick, feeling, oh, there's my mic, feeling sensual and sexual. It's really kind of nice. There's my phallic mic for you, identifying Gemini's, sun, moon, and ascendant, particularly ascendant, with the idea of this reconsideration of your own identity as a Venusian being, artistic, sensual, wealthy. You know, Venus is opulent wealth. Reconsider that part of your identity. See yourself anew. This retrograde will reset your sense of how you are an aspect of Venus in your own reality, especially for you mental and mercurial, mind-based Gemini energies. This is about getting more sensual and in touch with the pleasures that Venus can offer you. And something from the past that may come back, an old flame maybe, who helps you see yourself as sexual and sensual again, or something from your past with money that comes back to you that makes you feel like you could buy that luxury item that you always wanted. So this is that retrograde, right, between the 13th of May and the 25th of June that can bring these things forward for you. Now we are going to go into the Cancer sign. Cancer, the retrograde's in your 12th house, and in the 12th house, Cancer, sun, moon, and ascendant, particularly ascendant. This is the unconscious. This is your dreams at night. This is your internal reverie. This is your past lives. This is a very subtle energy for you. You're going to feel this Venus retrograde 40 days, you know, roughly, as a kind of inward journey with your inner Venus. And maybe things from your past, you know, that are Venusian, a former, even a former friend or something from a foreign land, part of that energy of the 12th house that's very Venus, could come forward for you and remind you of, you know, your own inherent diva aspect. The 12th house is also, because Venus rules money and the 12th house is kind of connected to receiving, you may receive money that's karmically due to you, that's part of the good deed reward, like a karmic financial dividend may come back to you during this time. So pay attention to some unexpected, our debt relief could show up, you know, some kind of money bonus may show up for you guys. So that's a good way to look at how that subtlety of the 12th house can play out for you, Cancer, ascendants, sun and moon. Leo, this is a 11th house activation. So you Leo ascendant, sun and moon. Pay attention to how your friendships, especially your female friendships, may go through a rehabilitation, a renewal, and a reset during this retrograde period of Venus. And, you know, this is a house of friendships that are more like your social alliances, your social groups. It doesn't have to be your best friend that you hang out with every day. This can be your social networks, your tribes, the groups you belong to, the affiliations that you belong to. And so think about those broader, looser social networks, bringing you some Venusian gains and greater friendship, especially with women. My mic is going in and out of existence. I love it. I also want to say that it is the house of great gains, the 11th house for your career, Leos. And so you could have some really good bonus points on the game board during Venus retrograde, something overdue coming to you, like a promotion or a bonus that was supposed to happen or you thought would happen or got delayed in some way, suddenly showing up for you. And yay, you're off to the races. Some retrograde bonus points in terms of great gains from your career, promotion, reputation, increase of status. If you strive for social influence and fame in any way, because you're in that kind of game of micro celebrityhood, you Leos, then you could also experience a boost and a sudden rising up of your social stature in the online world. However, it would already have been planted in a prior time, something coming back to you that was already due to you in that realm. All right. Virgo, sun, moon, and especially ascendant. This is going to happen in your career house, the 10th house of your contribution to the collective, your reputation, your public status, your high noon. This is a really beautiful spot to be blessed by Venus. She's on one of the stakes of the charts, the kentrons. This is going to give you the chance to really have a sense here of your ascendancy and power, and she's going to bring something to you that may have been already in the works or overdue from the past, where you're going to achieve more reward and success in this career zone than you normally would. And you could also look at that sacred flame that you want to tend. You know, what is really important to you in your career zone right now, in your contribution, that you might want to kind of blow the flame and keep it alive, that sacred ember, so that you can have great reward through a minor sacrifice, right? Like the Vestal Virgins, well, that was a major sacrifice, 30 years of their life. But for you, we're talking about a retrograde period. So in the 40 days that happened between roughly the 13th of May and the 25th of June, what is it you could maybe do a short-term sacrifice to tend a flame in the area of your ambition and your career and your contribution that could bring great rewards in the aftermath of this retrograde period? And lastly, a female in power, an influence, a boss, a superior, or a person like that could have great power to gift you some blessings towards greater stimulation of your ambitions in your career this month or so, this 40 days or so. So pay attention to that. Libra, this is a 9th house activation. This is the house of book publishing, the house of knowledge, wisdom, truth, God, spirituality, the house of religion, the house of gurus and guides, if I didn't say that. So foreign lands and foreign travel, and the keyword international. So you Libras are going to have a Venus activation here that's going to really bless you with the possibility of some advancement in those areas. However, remember the sacred flame you need to tend. The Vestal energy is very active here for you with this Venus activation. So is there some area of those themes that I outlined for you, Libra, ascendant, sun, or moon, that you really need to tend to? You just can't be laissez-faire. You need to blow on it, you know? The mic keeps coming and going. I gotta love it. And I feel like you know what that will be. You know, is there something that you've got an ember burning, like a book you want to write, or an ember burning for a project that's very dear to you, but it's spiritual, you know, it's meaningful, and something you may want to be inspired by and bring inspiration to others by virtue of it, that you need to tend during this retrograde. And somebody from the past may show up, or some situation from the past, especially if it's a female from a foreign land, that could really benefit you during this retrograde in those 9th house themes. Let's move on. Scorpio. This is great for you guys because it's about your money, and Venus is the goddess of money. And so this is the 8th house part of your chart. This is investment money, residuals, incomes, royalty, derivatives, investments, you know, stock market, Wall Street. It could be even money that's a loan. You could secure an incredible loan. This is where you would find a mortgage and a bank and a lender. So if you're thinking that what you might want to do, I gotta stop moving. Sorry, my mic is moving. That you could increase your wealth. This retrograde may bring something to you. Now, it's because it's retrograding. There's something from the past, an idea, a consideration, a business arrangement. If you're married, something to do with your spouse's money, that has a chance to resurface and resurrect and bring you some kind of blessings there in that part of the chart. And you should know what this is by the time the retrograde's over, around June the 25th. This will be self-evident, but it begins to come into play now at the beginning of the retrograde period. So pay attention to that for you guys. It's definitely a boost, goddess of money in your money house. Now, retrograde could also be a short-term glitch in the finances, but the longer-term picture with the North Node expanding Venus's energy in a money part of your chart is definitely boding well for a financial expansion as a result of this Venus retrograde cycle for you. Playing with the chart, playing with the optical illusions of this. Alrighty, next. I forgot where I was. Oh, I was at Sagittarius. Sagittarius, seventh house energy, house of long-term committed relationship. These are your clients if you work one-on-one with other people. If you're looking to get married or you're in a relationship where you want it to go up to the next level, Venus can help you there. She is the goddess of love. She can instill a great sense of romantic engagement and love and the vibration of love in the house of committed relationships. She could renew the sexuality and pleasure in a committed relationship, but she has to go backwards to do that. And she's got a sacred flame tender there as well with her Vesta, the virgin temple prostitute as well. Any sacred sexuality and tantra practice right now would do really serve you really well. But also you Sagittarius's sun, moon, and ascendant. If you are single, Venus retrograding here may bring an old love or an old flame back. And it may not just be for a fling. It could actually instigate a renewed commitment in what was a dormant or long gone love. So that's one very literal way it can play out. Okay, moving on. Capricorn, this is a sixth house activation. This is the house of your job, like the job, the place you go to work, you know, place of employment. Venus is money. More money can come there as a result of going back over old ground, though, you know. So for you Capricorns, maybe there was some kind of area that was left undone in your workplace, some kind of place that you were thinking of investigating, doing something and working on it, and you didn't, and now you can, and now it's going to bring more money to you. Your boss, especially if it's a female, could look on you kindly and decide to reward you. Venus retrograde in the house of work too is your colleagues and fellow employees. Something could be going on with a female there. But again, it's really more about your gain in your career. This is not about so much about the romantic angle, unless of course a workplace romance does get triggered with Venus in the house of the workplace. This is your work on your health. This is like your, you know, I get to do my working out. I eat really healthy smoothies and stuff like that. Venus retrograde could say, go back and look at the pleasurable things that you do for your health. Is it pleasurable to run and jog, or is that making you unmiserable? Then Venus would look for a pleasurable, enjoyable, fun way to be healthy. So she may have you reinvestigate old health modalities and old food styles that you may have thought you'd finish with, and they come back to you. And you know, because it's in Gemini, you know, it's in your sixth house, but Gemini is the mind. So what other mental protocols do you need to reinvestigate? Do you need to go into meditation and learn some new techniques to calm your mind, or create more wellness through the application of mental discipline, but in a Venusian way, which is fun. I'll let you ponder that. Aquarius, you're experiencing where I am. My ascendant's in Aquarius, Aquarius, sun, moon, and ascendant. This is the fifth house of romance. Is there something going to show up from your past that could incite a romantic liaison? Like somebody comes out of your depths of the past, a husband, a partner, a lover, a love interest, an unrequited love that shows up again. And this time something sparks. I'm thinking it could happen with the North Node sort of expanding Venus at the time of the inception of this retrograde. And also with the Vestal Virgin there. Even though she's the Vestal Virgin, she's also archetypally associated with the temple prostitute, the sacred sexuality aspect of it. If somebody shows up here for a love interest during this retrograde and afterward, we're looking at the potential for this to be a very sacred sexual energy for you. Now, the fifth house is the house of your children. So if you have kids, there's an amplification of your connection with them, a potential for something really good to emerge. Venus is also money. So money through your creative expression, any projects that you create, any art projects that you do, Gemini fifth house, any novels you might want to write, any writing of any books you might want to do. Yeah, those sorts of themes. And, you know, the fifth house is your creative projects, but it's also your inspiration. What are you inspired to create or initiate during this Venus retrograde? Because of the conjunction with the North Node and Vesta, it could turn out to be quite lucrative for you in the long run. This is the house of fun and the house of luck. Venus in the house of luck, retrograde, besides lucky in love, lucky in money. In a way, it would be lucky from something that you started in the past, or you had had an inspiration or inception of something in the past, and it will be lucky for you going forward as she goes back and sort of excavate something, an idea, an inspiration, a financial thing that you started but didn't maybe finish, and the next thing you know, it takes off. Yeah, I'm looking at investing in some Bitcoin after, I hope it goes down after it halves and not goes up. But looking at things like that, because this is a house of speculation and risk as well. So think about, is there a place where you could place a bet, so to speak, and you think it may pay off? Look to that Venus retrograde, but it should be something from the past, something you've already thought of, not something brand new, but now maybe the time is right. Pisces, the last one, last but never least, my dear Pisceans, this is your natal fourth house, a house of your home, your nest where you live. And Venus going retrograde here could be like renovating and fixing it up. It could be a chance with the Vestal Virgin energy to tend a sacred flame in your home, make a sacred space in your home, make an altar in your home. She could bring money through real estate to you. If you are wanting to sell a house or real estate, this is very auspicious, but the retrograde may mean there could be a delay. I mean, you may get your house ready to sell during the retrograde. If you've already sold a property, then this is the money coming in after the retrograde motion, or on the onset of the retrograde motion. I would also think that with the Venus in your natal fourth house, on the North Node, you're having a period, and it will continue for four years actually, of expanding your goodness in your home, financial blessings through home, working at home, bringing in more real estate and investment luck when it comes to things to do with land and home. Now, the fourth house is gold and silver and other minerals and precious metals that come out of the earth. So if you're in any kind of investment structures around those, you'll benefit with that. I'm not giving investment advice, just like I don't give medical advice, but you get the idea, right? You Pisces ascendant, sun and moons may benefit from things to do with the things that are in the earth, the precious metals of the earth. And Venus loves her precious metals, right? Diamonds are a girl's best friend. All right, that's it. Check out the free Facebook group. Come join us as I go on a carpet ride of Venus retrograde. My friend Louise Eddington, and I did a video with her in my last video. Go check it out. We'll be teaching a course in Venus retrograde, and I'm going to be in there for $108. Come join me, or join her VIP Venus Dragon Riders. I'll put a link to her course in the description box below as well. Okay, guys, get ready for a Discover Your Inner Gold Heroine's Journey Venus retrograde in Gemini. I look forward to this ride that happens every 2 years when she goes retrograde in a different place in the chart. Ciao. Mwah. Like, subscribe, comment. You know the drill.